The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Welcome to the Fandotech Friday 15 Mission Technical Reconnaissance. If you have any questions during the presentation, please type them into your chat window. This week, our presenter, Craig Sampson, that's me again, is sharing a few more Microsoft Word 2010 tips and tricks. So I want to get right started with Word, and we'll just jump over there. And so I didn't get last week to one subject, which was breaks. So I want to talk about page breaks first. So I have here a sample document that I loaded up with some filler text. And of course, I think we all probably know what your basic page break is, which is basically to push content, separate pages, push content down to the next page. So I'm going to demonstrate each of the types, and we'll start with that easy one. Now this is Microsoft Word 2010. We've upgraded it since last week where we were in 2007. So we've got the right interface here. And so in 2010, under the Insert menu, there's actually right here at the start of the menu is a page break option. So this is just a page break. Notice there's a keyboard indication there on the little pop-down that says Control Return. So you can always get a page break by just hitting Control Return. Like I just did right there, or by clicking the button. Now when I did that, it took all the text after my cursor and pushed it to the next page as expected. So that's your basic page break, just gets us to the start of the next page. So perhaps the takeaway there is the keyboard shortcut if you weren't aware of it. I've just deleted it out. Now there are more types of breaks than that though. And unfortunately, Microsoft chose not to put them here under the Insert menu. So when you want to insert another type of break, you actually have to go to the Page Layout tab here. And there, tucked in this little corner where I'm pointing, are page and section breaks. And they give you a nice list of the different types of breaks here with an explanation of each. So if you're confused afterwards about which type is which, those little explanations can help you sort it all out. The first one, of course, is your standard page break, which we have gotten conveniently on the Insert tab. So I don't have to go over that one again. Here is a column break. Now, a column break is fairly simple. Let me give you an example. I'm going to take this document. I'm going to select all the text with my Control-A command. And I'm going to take and put it into a 3-column layout using the column option here under Page Setup. And so what I have then is this continuous flow of text. Right here I have a paragraph that starts, and I really want that to start at the top of the next column. And so that's why I would use a column break. And so bingo, there it is. And it just moves the text to the top of the next column. And if your next column is on the next page, it would push it down to the next page. And if I recall, yes, the keyboard command for the column break is Control-Shift-Enter. So if you want to do that without touching your mouse, just Control-Shift-Enter will do like this, Control-Shift-Enter, bang. There I am, new column, just like the before. So column breaks also pretty easy to understand. The next one down I just want to discuss briefly. It's a little out of scope here. This one is it's called a text wrapping break. And it's really just if you're using Microsoft Word as a blogging or web designing tool of some sort. It's basically designed to allow you to separate a hunk of text from the body text, such as, say, a caption for an image. You basically put these text wrapping breaks around it to keep the text with your image, and it separates it from the body text. But it only is applicable if this content is being directly published to a website. So we're going to treat this like just a regular Word document. So unfortunately, it's not going to do anything here. So it's going to let me run down to the next section of this menu, which, well enough, is called section breaks. Now, interesting thing about this, not so many people are familiar with these. A section break allows you to break up your document into different logical sections. So it's not necessarily a physical break as much as it is a logical one. And to accomplish that, they give you 4 flavors. The first style is pretty obvious. It's the next page, section break. I'm going to illustrate it with my multi-column document here. I'm going to insert one of those breaks right here with my paragraph. So I'll go in and insert a next page break. Now, the reason I would do this section break instead of a normal page break is if I wanted to change some higher level formatting, such as document level formatting. An example of that is the column choices I have here. I've got a 3-column layout. And if I wanted to have a 3-column layout on my first page, but only a 1-column layout on my second page, I would use the section break to separate those two, so that in the first section, which we have up here, we've got a multi-column layout as we do in the second section. But now I'm going to change one of these so that it's 1 column. So I'm going to click up here into the first page, and I'm going to change the column setting back to 1. If I scroll down to my second page, it remains 2 columns. So that an example of this then is what you see here. So anytime you wanted to create, say, a different column layout from one page to the next, you use the next page section break. Not all of the section breaks, however, we really want to break out on the same page. What if I really wanted to take this content here that's in 1 column, and I'm going to delete and bring back this document. So I just deleted that section break I installed. And this time I'm going to insert a different break. I'm going to insert a continuous section break. Now, a continuous section break doesn't appear to be very impressive. You see it moved my cursor over to here. It's like, what did it just do? Well, a continuous section break is not designed to push your content to the next page. It's designed to allow it to flow together. And this time, if I go here and I change this to, up here in the first part, like I was before, and change it to 1 column, it uses that section break as a hidden little separator in the page to separate the formatting types. So now, using this continuous section break, I'm allowed to have one page that has both a single column and a triple column layout. So a continuous break is used whenever you want to keep your text together, but you need that logical separation for something like these column mixing that we're doing here. You can put as many of these on a single page as will fit, basically, with different types of layout. I can certainly go further down the page and insert another continuous break right there, and then say that this column is actually going to be 2 down here. And so in this way, I've actually broken my page into multiple column layouts with only these section breaks, kind of keeping the pieces apart from one another. Okay. Now there's a couple more section breaks, and I think you'll find that these are fairly self-explanatory. They're just like the next page break, except that an even page break is going to push the text that you separated down to the next even page. You'd use these on double-sided layouts. Like if you were going to make a booklet with left and right-handed pages, you would typically want your new sections to start on a right-handed page. That's the classic style. So right-handed pages are odd pages. And so you would use an odd page break to push your booklet starting text to the next odd-numbered page, or right-handed page in that case. And obviously, even numbers and odd numbers just are the left and right pages, left being even, right being odd in most cases. So that's what those section breaks are for. Basically, just very simple. Now, I wanted to go beyond this, though, and talk about another type of page-level setting that you often have to deal with, which is headers and footers. And this document doesn't have any, but I'm going to change all that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to undo a couple of the things I did just to get back to a plain, boring document again. This will make it a little easier for me to continue the demonstration. Apparently, I've done lots of text here. There we go, all the way back to the beginning, and we've got plain text. And I'm going to add a header to this document. Real easy in this version of Microsoft Word. You just go up to the header area where you want it and double-click. And you'll drop into header mode. One thing to notice, we immediately get the header and footer tools, which are all special just for the headers and footers. So I'm going to type in a document title here, which I'm just going to call Sample Document. And I want to put over on the right-hand side, let's say, today's date. So I tab over. Microsoft has conveniently put a center-align tab and a right-align tab up at the top. I think this might be a topic for a future session, a little more about this ruler. I found some of my students in the past not too familiar with all the amazing parts and pieces of the ruler either. So by tabbing over, I jumped over to this right-align tab here, and I'm going to use these little menus that they have here. There's a little header option. And one thing that's kind of cool about it, it provides you with pre-designed things. So I'm just going to try one of these to see how it will work. How about this one here? And actually, I did it kind of backwards because it deleted the text I typed in to overlay it with its sample setup. But if I don't like that one, I can undo and try a different one here. Let's try this one. Oh, that one's kind of cool, right? Nice and simple. And it has a little sample thing there that you can type in what you'd like right over the top of it. So for your basic header, it's very simple. Basically, you double-click up in the space at the top. You either type what you want at the tab positions. You can move these little tab markers around if you want them in a different spot. You can also format this text however you like using your traditional menus here. If I want to italicize it, I just change it to that. And these tools also have these goodies in the header and footer section of pre-designed headers. There's a whole bunch of them here with different styles. Here's a different one for you that I could choose. Here's yet another one. And here it gave me an error because it's supposed to be pulling that sample from something in the document. That might also be a future subject that we could go into, indexes and tables and figures and so forth. So here we've got my basic header. To jump to the footer, a couple things I can do. We can just scroll right on down here to the bottom. This is probably the easiest and most obvious way. And now I'm going to put a footer. And there are pre-designed footers just like there are headers. Here's the matching footer to go with my document. And let's say I were to do copyright, and like that. And we'll say copyright 2012. I got this copyright symbol because I happen to know the code for it. We'll get into that on a future subject as well. And notice the auto page numbering. And indeed, if we scroll down, it knows that's page 2, and that's page 3, and so forth. Okay, so I double-click back into my document to get out of header-footer mode. And so I've got headers and footers on all my pages. But now, what else can we do with this? Well, it turns out that there are some magic things about it that we can use to our advantage. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add a break here. I'm going to take this, I'm going to add one of those section breaks we just learned about from the page layout menu. And I'm going to make it a next page section break. So you can't really see much, but we've pushed that down to the next page. I want to show you a couple options for these headers and footers in the last minute or so. And for instance, one of the things we can do here on the menu at the top is to have a different first page. This is apart from any section breaks or anything like that that you may have inserted in your document. It just treats the initial page as a unique page and will allow you to have a different header and footer on that page from all the others. If I were to choose it, I would then have basically a separate header and footer here. As you see, it goes away. But on the second page, it didn't go away. And it went away because I'm now saying I want something different on this page. So that would allow me to set it up and would affect no other page. Another option I have is to have different odd and even pages. This goes back to that booklet thing that I was talking about before. If you were creating a booklet, you might want the title in the header on the left page, and you might want the page number or date on the top, on the right-hand side of the right-hand page. So if you want to have different layouts for odd and even pages for booklets, you can do that. There's one more important thing to cover before I leave you today, and that is this option here that's highlighted called Link to Previous. So right now I have two sections. And in the first section, here it is. Here's my second section. And you can actually see by these little tabs that this is the footer for Section 1. This is the header for Section 2. And if we if we go here to the second one, we see that it is apparently linked to previous. What this means is that each section of your document can have different headers and footers. So if you want to take advantage of that and you don't want them to be all the same, you would uncheck this option. Go to the section, header or footer, that is one that you want to separate from the previous. And you click that button to unlink it. And so now we do have the same thing in the first and second sections, but I would be allowed to change this second one. And I'm going to do that, Section 2, and it will have no impact on the first section up here. So that's basically everything for today. Now I want to kind of wrap up by saying thank you to all of today's participants. If I didn't answer all of your questions, and I didn't get any questions today, certainly feel free to ask them if you have them. I'll circle back with you independently. This webinar will be available for viewing on our blog at blog.fandotech.com, on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/Fandotech, and on SlideShare at slideshare.net/Fandotech. Join us next week for another Fandotech Friday 15 Tech Recon, where we'll be discussing rule creation in Microsoft Outlook. This will help you get your inbox more organized automatically than ever before. Register today by visiting blog.fandotech.com and clicking on the Friday 15 logo. This has been a presentation of Fandotech.